Welcome everyone to CMI Sports Authority. This is episode number 6. We are going to recap the winter season here. We're going to break down the sectional matchups and finals. We were hoping to do this last week. We were trying to set out an episode before the finals. I had some technical difficulties, unfortunately, and it ruined the entire recording that we did, which was like an hour long. And yeah, that was fun. So yeah, we're gonna break down, kind of basically do what we just did in the recording that didn't work last week. We're gonna break down the brackets, we're gonna talk about the finals, and for both boys and girls, talk about any other regional games that have happened, which started yesterday, and then there's 2 more today. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. We're transitioning pretty well here into spring, thankfully. The snow is gone. So I actually worked some of the regional games yesterday at OCC. Jay, I know you worked some games as well. How are things in your neck of the woods?
It's good. It is looking like we're turning the corner into spring, which is pretty wild. I'm sure we'll still get another dump of snow here, as we always do.
No, don't say that. No.
So spring starts. The spring season starts, tomorrow from when we're recording this, and yeah, wrap it up basketball. I've needed this little week to recover from the basketball season for sure. And the tournament was pretty awesome. Some really good games came down the stretch and finished things up. We had some wild finishes, some upsets. Really good basketball to finish the year.
Yep. And as much as we criticized the BTM, it actually did pretty good. So,
It did.
Let's get into our breakdowns here. This is going to be our main segment of our conversation here, of breaking down the brackets. So let's get right into it and see what's on the whiteboard. I'm going to start off here with the boys brackets, and for the AAA brackets, we had, in terms of throughout the bracket, one game that stood out was the big upset by Liverpool. They were able to upset RFA, Rome Free Academy, and they actually went on to the finals against Bishop Ludden, and they gave Bishop Ludden quite the game. One thing I didn't know about Bishop Ludden is the fact that they have a lot of size. I was on the scoreboard yesterday for the Bishop Ludden regional game against Shaker at a Section 2. Unfortunately, Bishop Ludden lost that one. Shaker was unbelievable. Really balanced team. But they pulled off the victory, I should say, against Liverpool 54-50. So very entertaining game. Jay, I think you were working that game, correct?
I was there just as a fan and covering it. So yeah, it was a pretty awesome game between Liverpool and Bishop Ludden. The finish was incredible. I was watching it, just enjoying the game all the way through. You had the battle of 2 really good guards with Jazar Green and Freddie Fowler playing really well. And then you had that battle of Liverpool, kind of a little bit more outside game with Alex Trombley and Danny Dunn doing a really nice job for them offensively. But then inside, you had the Liam kid and Trey Dennis, just absolute monsters inside for Ludden. Colvin Sheen, an undersized guard, plays above his weight class all over the place too. It was a really great game.
Yeah, Liam Sherd he makes me look small.
Yeah.
And he's only a sophomore, so.
And that game came down to that one last play. Freddie Fowler coming down the paint, and Liam Shard just swats it. Gets not even a swat. He got the tiniest piece of it to just knock it off the glass. A great play drawn up by Liverpool, but better defense prevailed to give them the win.
Yeah, helps to be 6'7".
Yeah.
I just wanted to point something out in their regional game real quick, just to show you how good Shaker was and how balanced they were. They had 4 players score 12 points or more.
Yeah, that's a recipe for success.
They were extremely well balanced. One of the players, Moreno, had 15 points, all of them 3-pointers, 5 threes,
Jeez.
and it was just cash.
Yeah. That's an unfortunate matchup to get when you have the size inside and you're hoping to keep them quiet, and then it's the recipe for success if you can get hot for 3, as March Madness is about to prove to us as well in the college ranks.
I'm so excited for March Madness this year. So congrats to Bishop Ludden, sectional champs. Be interesting to see them next year with the whole merging of them and Bishop Grimes. Shout out to Liverpool as well for another successful season. Trying to defend their sectional championship.
Yeah, new coach this season too, and to get back to try to defend the crown was a very impressive feat.
Yep, I forgot about that. I think their old coach went to the college level, if I'm mistaken. I forget where. So moving on to AA, the boys bracket here for AA was very fun. We were kind of anticipating some good matchups here. Right off the hop, we have Auburn as the 10 seed, upsetting Corcoran, who was the 7 seed. They won 51-47. Henniger upset Fulton on a last-second putback to win 59-57. That was very exciting. ESM beating Oswego 76-74. This was kind of the matchup where some of us circled, if this does happen, look out for upset alert. And Oswego almost pulled it off. And there was a little bit of drama here. So ESM went to the line and made it, they went 1 for 2 and made it 76-74. So Oswego's coming down the court and dish it, 3-point shot, miss. Get a rebound, shoot the jumper, miss. Get another rebound, jumper again, literally last second, gets it off clean, doesn't make it, but there was a foul called. Buzzer goes off, student section storms the court. Now this is where the drama happens and starts. Student section stormed the court to celebrate the close victory, but if you go back and watch the video, you can look it up on their huddle stream. The players were telling the student section, get off the court, the game's not over. And within probably 3-4 seconds, they were off the court and they were already ready to resume play. So if you were to rewatch the video, you'll see that a lot of the Oswego fans and the bench and the coach were arguing that there should be a technical foul. Now, I looked it up. According to what I found, by rule, the letter of the rule, if fans storm the court, then technically there is a technical foul that should be assessed. But what people may not know about the rule, if you read it actually, thoroughly, it says that it is the referee's discretion of whether or not the fans that stormed the court stormed, 1, while play was going on, or 2, if there was any sort of excessive or unsportsmanlike behavior. In this case here, both of those don't fit this glove, or the glove doesn't fit this situation, if I could speak today. The game was over, the buzzer sounded, clearly. And then 2, the fans were on and off in, like I said, 3 to 4 seconds. So in that case, there's no need for a technical foul. It was a complete mistake. They didn't hear the whistle. Unfortunately,
shout out to the officials on that too. They handled that situation perfectly. The whistles, they were blasting the whistles right at the end of the game. They were waving it off, no basket, but we're looking at hey, the game is still going on. The ESM was able to get their fans off because all of the players on the court all knew that the game was not over.
Right.
Due to really good officiating at the end of that game.
Yeah, and really good crowd control to the ESM staff and the athletic director as well. Unfortunately, Oswego missed the first free throw, and then they did the intentional miss the second one. And ESM got the rebound, and game was over. So then it led to the Nottingham versus ESM semifinal, which was an awesome back and forth type of game. I was kind of watching it on and off on my phone, and every time you looked, there was maybe a 5-6 point lead, and then within that 2 to 3 minutes of you not watching it, that lead was gone. So it's just consistently back and forth, back and forth. Nottingham ends up winning that one, and then they go to play West Jenny. I actually worked the scoreboard for this game as well, and West Jenny was very impressive. Let's see, I'm just pulling it up back on my computer. Where is it? Right here. Yeah. They won 54-38. West Jenny did have some pretty good size, but the athleticism and playmaking ability from West Jenny was just very overwhelming. Colton Castrello was an absolute monster throughout this sectional tournament. He single-handedly got them back into their game yesterday against Niskayuna. At one point in time in the first quarter, it was like, uh-oh, this might be a blowout. But no, he single-handedly brought them back into the game, and it was very, very impressive. Unfortunately, they lost yesterday. Niskayuna out of Section 2, the Albany area, they were very good as well. So congrats to them for a great season. Congrats to Nottingham for making the finals as well. So this bracket here for the double A's was very good.
Yeah, really exciting all the way through to the end. So that the Henniger upset of Fulton, I was really not expecting. So that tip was incredible. Just an absolute mess at the basket and then the tipping.
And that was another play too, where Henniger got like 2 or 3 offensive rebounds in a row.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on to the Class A bracket here. We had one matchup that, if you want to call it an upset, it was the 5 seed of South Jeff upsetting Syracuse ITC. They won 60-55. The finals here was West Hill against JD. JD had a pretty good run here at this tournament. They beat a really good New Hartford team by 10 points, and then they beat Bishop Grimes, I believe it was 66-63. So they had quite the trek to make the finals, and they had to really, really earn it, prove it, and they did. Unfortunately, they just ran into an unbelievable West Hill team who ends up pulling this off, who we kind of were expecting how this bracket was going to go. We said beforehand that this bracket's going to go through West Hill, and it sure did. West Hill pulled off the victory 71-53. Unfortunately, they lost yesterday, or no.
Yeah.
Yes, they lost yesterday to Glens Falls, who I guess is just going to win every single year. I think they're back-to-back champs, if I remember correctly, state champs. And they're undefeated this year again. They're 23-0 or 24-0.
Yeah, Glens Falls has some special things cooking, because I thought West Hill was definitely in the running for that, and man, whew.
Yeah.
But an incredible season for the Warriors. Those their pair of Elis, just kind of monsters. Eli Prince and Eli Welsh. To put it in perspective, Eli Prince has a double-double in the championship game. 37 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah,
like he's a monster.
He's legit. So yeah, for the A's here, there really wasn't much going on. This was pretty chalky.
Yeah, Utica Academy of Science ruined my bracket by upsetting Cortland, but
that's right.
That magic going. Yeah.
Yep. That was those two were the only ones you got wrong, right?
Yeah.
For the boys. Yeah.
Yep.
There's always one. So yeah, congrats to West Hill, congrats to JD for really good seasons, making it to the finals, and obviously West Hill making it to the regionals, unfortunately losing to a loaded Glens Falls team. I have nothing else to add here for the A's. Anything for you?
Nope. Let's head to the B's.
Going on to the B's. This bracket, kind of like the A's, we were anticipating everything is going to go through Marcellus here, which it did. One of the things going into this was you were big on the Mount Markham train. Unfortunately, they did not pull off the upset against Phoenix.
Yeah, that train got derailed.
And I was kind of in the same boat with my upset pick of Kaz over Skinny Atlas. That did not look too good because Kaz lost to Skinny Alice by 30 points. So that made me look real good. Colin Patton was able to upset Loudville. One of the big-time performances here was by Holland Patton's player Peyton Roberts. He had a double-double, and he had 23 points and 18 rebounds. So talk about putting the team on your back.
Yeah.
I actually worked the scoreboard as well for the final, and I want to give a lot of credit to Skinny Alice. They were kind of off to, it was a weird start to this game. Really weird start. Skinny Alice was definitely trying to send a message here of, we don't care that we've played you before, and we don't care that you're defending champs. We're going to take it to you. So in the first like two and a half minutes of the game, it was very, very chippy. Very kind of like, this is going to be a grind type of game. And going into half, don't know the official score because the score is not posted here on High School Sports Stats. That's awesome. I don't remember what the score was, but Skinny Alice got it to a 1 point game.
It was 30-28 at the half.
Okay, 2 point game. Sorry.
Yeah, the Skinny Atlas went on a 17-6 run to get into the half.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what I was talking about, where they kind of took it to Marcellus. And then I don't know what happened here at halftime, but then Marcellus came out and said, no, we're ready to go now. And we're defending champs, and we're going to show why. And they ended up winning 73-48. Now, for the Mustangs here, their season's still going. Let's see, I just want to get the correct dates here. Oh, High School Sports Stats, don't be buggy on me right now. Oh, okay. So on the 12th, they played Potsdam from Section 10, I believe.
Yeah, and that was...
They won 61-49. And then they played yesterday at Section 2 winner Mechanicville. And they won that one 79-55.
Yeah.
So Marcellus here is on quite the mission here. I'm pulling up the state tournament bracket here real quick, and I want to see who they're playing. But yeah, Marcellus was extremely impressive. They moved the ball very well. What makes them so impressive is how balanced they are.
Mm-hmm.
They have 3 people that can dribble the ball, that can charge the hoop, and they have athletes all around from 1 to 5 of their starting 5. They are going to be playing on the 22nd at 11:45 a.m. at Vision Veterans Memorial Arena against the Section 5 champ World of Inquiry. I have no idea of who that school is. I've never even heard of it. So they are in the state semifinals for the 2nd year in a row. So very, very impressive for Marcellus here.
Yeah.
Kind of like the A's, we didn't really see much possibly happening, and that's kind of how it went. There was no real upsets or anything like that. So that's pretty much it that I have for the Class B bracket.
Class B to the script.
Yeah,
to
that
the
was
C's.
Pretty chalky, unfortunately. All right, to the C's. You and Josh in our bracket prediction episode were very big on tech Tartar, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Josh put the little Cinderella shoe on them.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they did not execute the Cinderella run. They almost pulled off the upset.
Frankfurt pulled it out.
Yep, they lose to Frankfurt Schuyler in overtime. That was a very, very good game, I believe. If I remember correctly, the final score of that one was 91-88.
Yeah, I believe so. The top, 2 or 3 players from Montech fouled out in that overtime period, so they were playing real shorthanded. Granted, Frankfurt's Lionel Colthurst had torn his ACL the game before, so he was out. So they were shorthanded, one of their star players. So an absolute battle for them.
Yep.
But
yeah, for Frankfurt Schuyler, the top three performers here was Marquise Grimes. He had a double-double of 26 points and 12 rebounds, with also 4 steals, so getting it done on both sides of the ball there. You have Jerome Bowen. He had 31 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals as well. And then you had Philip Tangora. He had 22 points and 14 rebounds, so a double-double there for him as well. So very, very impressive game here. For OnTech, you had Romario Brandon, 21 points for him. Czar Green, he had a double-double of 16 points, 10 rebounds, and Donnell Stephanie had 12 points as well to add on to there. So I know the game went into overtime, but you have four players there scoring at least 12 points. So
yeah,
this was an offensive showdown here.
Yeah, and coming off from a very different score where OnTech beat Thousand Islands 49-40 in the first in their play-in round game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, OnTech they're very interesting because their situation gives them a lot of players are kind of in and out throughout the season, depending on the games and what days they're on. But then when it comes to playoff time, I find that they really kind of congeal into a unit and can give anyone a run for their money. They gave Hamilton a real good run for their money last year, which is where I was looking at them to maybe do that again to Frankfurt. Frankfurt then runs into a buzzsaw in Hamilton, 70-57. Hamilton just sort of has their number the past few years. We'll see if that continues in the future as Hamilton graduates a little cohort of talent for them. But man, this one, our other upset that we were looking at really pulled through for us. Cato Meridian, the 7 seed, making their way, beating Weedsport 69-50, beating Tully 53-48. That was the big upset. Tully just a little undersized and could not handle what Cato was throwing at them. Cato led by, all underclassmen, really. And then a really good game broke out in Sherburne, Earlville, with Cato taking on Waterville, back and forth all night long. And really, Waterville's senior experience took over in that game. You saw Perry Plank had a nice first half, but really went cold in the second half, and they stopped going through him. Dylan McGettrick did a great job driving to the hoop for Cato, but Waterville just attacked, and they were more physical, and they drove to the basket harder. It put Embry George in foul trouble early, so they had to try to. Cato's 2-3 zone had to kind of adjust for that. They weren't getting the shot blocks. They were getting fouls and letting them get to the line. Alan Morey did a phenomenal job inside for Waterville, just, snaking around these bigs inside. He finished with 13 points, but, his size disadvantage was substantial in there. But really, the story of that night came down to Luke Abrams, who just got absolutely phenomenally hot. And I give Jackson Ruane a ton of credit because he is the star of that team. And he just was, his seniority showed, because sometimes you want to put a team on your back and you need to bring them to the promised land and you need to try to do too much. He was more than willing to sit back and say, holy cow, you have the hot hand, have it. Ruane had a double-double with 12 points and 13 assists. Those assists mostly going to Luke Abrams, who finished with 32 points. And his shooting and getting to the line, that was the difference maker. He was 9 for 13 from the free throw line. So them getting inside and attacking that basket was the game changer. Cato Meridian, Finley Stone Cipher also tried to get inside and make his presence known late in the game, but it just wasn't enough for the experience of Waterville.
Yeah, I was pretty high on the Cato upset possibility, and they pulled it off. They made it to the semifinals, almost beat the defending champs, Waterville. You were there at the semifinal games, and the environment at Sherburne was electric.
Not a big enough place. That's what we learned. The lines, the parking was a mess. The stands were completely packed. There were people standing under the baskets. It was standing room only. It was not a big enough place for this tournament to go down in, but it was an awesome atmosphere because of it.
Yeah. I did want to kind of just go into the stats for their upset against Tully. You had Dylan McGeetrick. He had 18 points. Perry Plank had 16. And one of the stats that stood out to me was Embry George. He had 0 points, but he had 13 rebounds. So, I mean, to me, that's a really, as a coach, like, you like to see that because offensively he's not producing, but, you know, how
Still
many of those rebounds? Yeah, how many of those rebounds are offensive, right? Or, you know, if they're all defensive, like, okay, great, you got a rebound, you shut off their possession. So that's a really good lesson to learn from that, especially for him being only a freshman, and just for anyone else too playing sports, of like, find a way to be a contribution to the game, right? Like, I actually just listened to a podcast recently that featured Brady Tkachuk, the NHL player, and he was talking about the Four Nations tournament, and his dad was a NHL star as well, and said that the best two qualities that you can have moving forward as an athlete is find a way to contribute and be a good teammate, right? Yeah. So those two qualities right there are huge, and just being a good teammate alone is a huge quality to have. And this is something that Embry George can definitely build off of, and Cato as a whole, because, I mean, come on, their underclassmen are unreal.
Yes, they're going to be, next year is scary. Coach Pito at Stockbridge always says you can either be an asset or a liability. And
there you go.
The asset there is for real with that size and his use. And I think one of those things that I noticed while watching them play Waterville is that physically it's just not there yet. My guess is we came into this growth spurt pretty recently, and I remember my middle and early high school years, man. When you hit that first growth spurt, you're like, I have no idea how my limbs work with this. And it's just like the connection to his feet isn't quite there yet to get the footwork and finish at that pace of play. But after going through a season of that now, like next year and the year after, like, this kid is going to be a monster inside, especially with the balance that they have around. They're going to be really scary.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if they can make the adjustment too, just because everyone knows them now. Everyone knows that they have size, so there are no more surprises. So it's, can they take the next step of adapting and evolving their game and just getting better and learning from everything. So I'm pretty high on Cato. Now, in terms of the ending of this bracket, it kind of went how we thought, with Cooperstown running away with it. Give a lot of credit, though, again, to Waterville. You had Cooperstown winning 76-67. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people saw this as a potential blowout, because if I remember correctly, I think Cooperstown beat them twice, during the season by like double digits.
Yes. Yeah, this game was, it was super intense, and you just, usually, like, I remember watching Cooperstown play Hamilton, and there was a rivalry there, and there was an intensity there, but at some point, Cooperstown just continued to make shots. They shut down Drew Baker inside and just swarmed him, and their defense just kind of took over, and all of a sudden, before you knew it, there was just like a 20-point run, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, this game's out of hand. Okay, they pulled away. And that just would not happen against Waterville. They would not go away. And then
I'm looking at the box score right now, and it was tied at 33.
Yeah, 33 at the half, and just every time Cooperstown went on a little bit of a run and gained momentum, Waterville would come back and battle back to get back into this game. And that's where, again, that senior experience does play in. And like this game, Jackson Ruane had to put it on his back a little bit more. He put up 28 points. He had to be the attacker. They were on Luke Abrams a little bit more, although Abrams still puts up 16 points. And then Alan Morey was with a double-double of 10 points, 11 rebounds. They were battling all game long it's just Miles Nealon just has one of the most fluid shots in the entire section. He has 35 points in this game. And it's crazy because they're so balanced. It's like, I remember one of our students talking and saying like he had a loud 12 points or a quiet, like Miles Nealon constantly has quiet games. He had a quiet 35-point game. It sounds insane to say quiet 35 points, but it's just like the points just come and they happen very naturally, and you don't notice that there's no forcing it to him. He just gets the ball in good scoring opportunities and finishes. He's just a finisher.
Right.
And man, Cooper Bradley had like the game of his life, a double-double on 17 points and 12 rebounds. And he
blocks.
Yeah, the 7 blocks were just defensively, he was a menace. He really changed the flow of the game quite a bit. And he's one of those, with Cooperstown, there's like this nice balance of pieces. You know, sometimes Jackson Chrisman can come in and he kind of takes Cooper Bradley's role for him for the night as sort of a stretch 5. But instead, Bradley was all over the place and just really, really intense defense helped them get this game back.
Yeah, and like you were talking about with Miles, I haven't seen him in person, but just from the video clips that I've seen from you and what you've posted, it almost looks like he's not even really trying, just because he's that smooth.
Yeah.
But obviously he is, and he's unbelievable. That matchup, so they're playing Moravia today at 1:45, I believe, in the arena down in Binghamton, where I think they're the Devils, the Binghamton Devils now, I think. Or is that Utica? Is Utica the Devils?
I don't know.
I forget which.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're the AHL affiliate of whatever pro team that they're linked to. So, I mean, that's pretty sick, that the fact that, you know, both boys Class C and D are going to be playing there today in that arena. That's awesome. That's an amazing experience. And their matchup against Moravia from Section 4 is going to be unbelievable, because Moravia is usually the team to beat out of Section 4. They've won multiple state titles in the last 10 years. They are legit. So it's going to be mano-a-mano here in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, great section, great Class C tournament. Gave us some drama that I wasn't really expecting. I kind of thought Cooperstown would just walk away with it, but between Cato and then Waterville giving us a really great game in the finals, really awesome matchups.
Yeah,
which takes us to the.
Oriskany gave Waterville a really good matchup too in the quarters.
Yeah, and that takes us to Class D, and this one went mostly as expected. I mean, from the BTM standpoint, went exactly as expected. Except for Lyme beating Remsen, and I don't know what happened in Remsen for their basketball season. I feel very bad for that team. They have pieces. They have players that put up some great stats, and they just cannot win. I don't know what is going on down in Remsen for basketball. But other than that, every team that was expected to win won all the way through to the finals. Stockbridge, we had anticipated Stockbridge maybe beating Sackett's Harbor, and they just could not get any mojo flowing. Sackett's Harbor, I think the underrated aspect here, and what's hard to tell, especially from stats and, like storylines and score lines, is defense. And man, Sackett's Harbor has defense.
They're very, very aggressive. So I was watching this game at home, and the first thing I noticed about Sackett's defense was how aggressive they were. So from what I kind of watch is, no matter who is dribbling the ball, no matter where they're dribbling the ball, they can stop dribbling. So like, even if someone was just dribbling around the 3-point arc, their goal was to attack you and make you stop dribbling. And it really puts everyone in a bind, because everyone is man-to-man, and you're basically trying to be in their back pocket. So their defense was extremely suffocating. They did a really good job of shutting down Aiden Stout, who is Stockbridge's 3-point guy. Carter Hires had 17 points in this one. Gabe Smith had 12. Marcus Castine had 14 points, 9 rebounds. Ethan Tracy kind of had this like breakout game against the Cougars. He had 18 points and 16 rebounds. And it's between the defense here of Sackett's Harbor, I think the theme of the game was turnovers and rebounds. Sackett's Harbor, I think, out-rebounded them by like 10, I think, somewhere around there.
I think it was like a 2-1 margin. I think it was like 36-18.
Okay. And then the other thing, too, there was one sequence in the second quarter where in 4 consecutive possessions, Stockbridge Valley went turnover, turnover, turnover. And then on the fourth one, Carter Hires went to the hoop and was called for offensive charging. So those 4 possessions right there, Sackett's went the other way and scored on. So that run, I believe it was like a 10-0 run, if I remember correctly. Stockbridge made it a game. They got it to 5 points at one point in time in terms of Sackett's lead, but they just could never close the gap, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that defense shows its head in the finals. We had Madison. We were pretty high on the Madison Blue Devils here. And, man, it looked like it was going to go according to script in the first quarter. Madison had a 12-11 lead, and they were pumping it inside to Justin Lemunion as expected. But that Patriot defense clamped down. And I mean clamped. They allowed only 6 points in the second quarter and 7 points in the third quarter to Madison, who just, Madison just didn't seem to adjust. There was no secondary game plan. There was a lot of complaining about calls because Lemunion was getting swarmed. Every time that ball got in there, there were 3 people on him, and they were on him. It was pretty intense defense. The challenge was nothing happened off of it. It was just always forcing it in, and they couldn't get anything offensively going until Lemunion eventually fouls out because Sackett's Harbor just took it at them. They were not scared. They took it inside and drew the fouls on Lemunion that they wanted, which put him in some foul trouble late, got him fouled out, and it wasn't until then that finally, we talked about Madison being sort of a two-headed monster with Jacob Burns being the other part of that. Until 3 quarters in the game, until the fourth quarter, and until about 2 minutes left in the third quarter, Jacob Burns had taken 2 shots. 2 3-pointers that were about NBA range that clanged off the back. They were too strong. That was it. Like, that's how Sackett's Harbor's game plan took Madison's game plan away. And it wasn't, Burns finishes with 10 points. All of those 10 came within the last 2 minutes, where they were just sort of desperately trying to get back into the game, and he was able to slash to the basket. They needed to have some of that earlier, and it just meant the Patriot defense would not let it happen. Like you said, they charge out and make you pick up the dribble. Madison just looked uncomfortable all game long.
Yeah, and honestly, it was probably the first time all season where they've seen a defense be as aggressive. And we talked about it beforehand, where it's, can you be aggressive with Madison for 4 straight quarters?
Yeah.
And in this case, Sackett's was. And honestly, it was probably the leading reason why they pulled this victory off. And on top of that, too, you had Marcus Castine showing up with a double-double of 22 points and 10 rebounds. So it's like, not only did they execute almost perfectly defensively, offensively, it kind of was the Castine show, and credit to him showing up against Madison.
Yeah, and he struggled in the first half. He kind of had, it looked like his knee was bothering him a bit. He struggled in the first half. And then the second half, he just got hot and started taking shots. It's part of the reason they go on that 10-point run in the third quarter. They get up, they won the third quarter 17-7. And that difference is what was the game. That one quarter.
Yep. And they shoved it right in my face when I said they weren't making the finals, and here they are, the back-to-back champs.
Yeah, my interview with them at the end was lighthearted jabbing. They were like, "Weren't you one of the ones that picked against us?" I sure did. One of their coaches said, "I bet you didn't know we could play defense, did you?" And I said, "Not like that. That is very fair."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I love it. I love the ribbon. I get to make this make these predictions. You guys can rub it in my face when I'm wrong. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's also the fun of it too, because if we're wrong, all right, cool. Like it generated narrative, and you can tell us we were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An incredible game. Congratulations, Sackets Harbor, back-to-back Section 3 Class D champs.
They are taking on the Section 4 winner of Morris Central School. They are playing at that same arena in Binghamton at 3:15. So that should be a good one. Morris actually played Stockbridge and Madison and lost them both. So I don't want to, get ahead of myself here, but I think
Sackets Harbor's got a good chance.
Yeah, they got a good chance if they can handle Madison and Stockbridge like they did. So.
Yep.
What else? Oh, I did want to give a brief shout out to New York Mills because they almost upsetted Madison in their matchup. They were flirting with an upset. They went into half leading against Madison 26-17. But in the second half, Madison completely flipped the script and they finished the game scoring 42-17, combining the third quarter and the fourth quarter. So they were able to make adjustments, get rid of the possible upset, but kudos to New York Mills and them going after them and really trying to pull that upset off.
Yep.
Besides that, I have nothing else for the boys.
Now let's take it to our next whiteboard point here with the girls' side.
All right. What do you got?
We can go in the same order here. The Triple A's. CNS plays Liverpool. I got to announce that game. Pretty wild back and forth. Some crazy runs. CNS starts hot, gets up 15-6, but then Liverpool answers with a 22-9 run in the second quarter, and CNS just going to recover. They looked a little frazzled. I think it's interesting because looking at, what kids step up in big games and what kids kind of were hot in the regular season is very interesting because in the tournament, you're trying to game plan to take those best players away. And this is one of those situations where I thought that definitely played a huge factor. Abria Cunningham has been the leading scorer for Liverpool all season long. And come this tournament, she hasn't really done much. And it's probably because all of the focus is on her. But man, it has allowed for Gianna Washington and Gia Kinsey to step up and kind of seize the reins of these games and take over. And that's what they did. For CNS, Grace Villeneuve, solid player inside, but Leah Benedict is the one who kind of raises the bar, puts up 20 points, over 20 points in this game to keep CNS in it, but not enough. And Gianna Washington, ice in her veins, to the free throw line. They were fouling to try to close this gap late, and she would not miss from the charity stripe. Just a very clutch shooter, great ball handler, and congrats to Liverpool for taking that one. Yeah,
they. I watched them for the first time yesterday. I was working the scoreboard at OCC for all the regional games for the AA and AAA matchups for both boys and girls. Their game against the Colony Raiders at a Section 2 was by far the game of the day out of the four. It went into overtime, and kind of like what you're saying with Abra Cunningham, she finished with 10 points, but Gianna Washington and Gia Kingsley just completely stole the show. It came down to, at the end, Liverpool was down by 2 points in the last 20 seconds, I think it was, and Gianna Washington sinks both to tie the game and send it to overtime. And not only that, but they played phenomenal defense because Colony had the last possession with 9 seconds left in the game. And not only did they poke the ball out of bounds, but on the inbounding play, Colony had 3.3 seconds left, I believe, and they were able to shut that chance down too. So it was just an absolutely electric game. They won that one 73-65. They're playing in the semifinals on the 22nd.
And Gia Kinsey, I think, had 20 points in that game. And that's an 8th grader playing AAA. That's That's an insane ball.
She had 21. She was 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Gianna Washington was 10 of 14 from the free throw line. And Gia Kinsey had 5 3-pointers in that game too. Like, it was unbelievable to see her as an 8th grader at the AAA level charging the hoop, and not only charging it just with her right hand, she was driving to the hoop with her left hand too. Like, just an unbelievable player, an unbelievable game. They are playing in the semifinals next week on the 22nd at Hudson Valley Community College. They are playing the Section 8 winner of Syosset from Long Island. So that should be a very, very good game.
Yeah.
So congrats to Liverpool, not only winning the section, but being regional champs as well. Like I said, that game yesterday was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a good brand of basketball. All right, double A's. We got to a point where this one was a little upsetting to me because it was like, if you're going to look at the BTM, this is the bracket that says the BTM's right and you can all shove it, which does make me a little sad.
Yeah.
I still don't. I'm not. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that necessarily the BTM is wrong in a lot of these rankings. I think it's not great and it's not awesome optics, and maybe it's to a level of fairness where it's like teams that are winning and having good seasons don't get rewarded because of the BTM, because it is so much based on the strength of schedule. I would just like to see that maybe implicated a little bit more. And you know what? In the end, their number 1 seed, who had a sub 500 record with West Genesee, does fall. And does not claim the title, as the Nottingham Bulldogs are able to bull their way through, for lack of a better word. That was kind of the style of the game. That is the Nottingham game plan, is what I've seen from the few games I've been able to watch of theirs. It is an ugly brand of basketball, but man, it's how they play. It's chaos, right? Like, we're just coming at you defensively. We're going to try to force as many turnovers. We're not scared. We're going to try to punch you in the face offensively. We're going to attack you inside. And it was just, the pace of that game was back and forth like crazy. And yet the final score was 48-42. So it was just getting people out of their comfort zone was the way that they managed to get that win. And against a team like West Jenny that features Jordan Towns and Isabella Quinones, they have real good talent there. Nottingham was not afraid of them and battled all the way through for that win.
Yep. Unfortunately for Nottingham, their season was ended yesterday. They played in a regional game against Catholic Central from Section 2. Gotta love seeing a Catholic school playing in the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, but that's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately here, their season comes to an end. Catholic Central, I was working the scoreboard. They're very good. They were top to bottom just better than Nottingham, unfortunately. But a great season, sectional champs, season that they're always going to remember for the rest of their lives. So, very impressive.
Yeah, I liked the unity by the entire school. I mean, you saw like ADs and everyone wearing Nottingham versus everybody shirts.
Yeah,
it was a quality run by that program this year.
Yep, because they had both boys and girls going to the finals.
Yeah,
just like West Jenny as well.
Yep. Speaking of games that weren't so close, if we take a look at how we saw the Class A's go down, this one went pretty much per script as well. We thought that this was going to be Utica Notre Dame or nobody, and man, it was Utica Notre Dame. And
yep,
no bones about it. The only sort of upset in this bracket was Indian River over CBA, which I had anticipated Indian River's really well-coached program. And then Central Valley beating New Hartford was the other kind of big upset on the girls' side. But JD and Utica Notre Dame get into the finals, the 1 and 2 seeds. And man, Utica Notre Dame just comes out, foot on the pedal, 16-2 at the end of the first quarter. And it was then 34-12 at the half. And man, if you're looking to claim a title, that's how you want to start a game, is just running out with it like that. Ella Trinkhaus had a double-double with 27 points and 15 rebounds, including 6 steals. And her sister Erin Trinkhaus had a double-double with 11 points and 11 rebounds. So the Jugglers dominated throughout, but man, their season, shockingly to me, I thought they were on a path for a state title, but their season came to a close in that regional round. I was shocked that they just couldn't get things going and fell short in their regional game.
Yep. They lost to Malone/Franklin Academy out of Section 10. That was taking place on the 12th. They lost 58-50. And then I just looked at the bracket, and Malone/Franklin Academy actually lost their next game against Albany Academy. So Utica Notre Dame was actually winning that game by, let's see here, it was 25-12. So, and then it looks like Malone/Franklin Academy had 28 points in the fourth quarter. So yeah, I don't know what happened there, but it looks like there's some sort of collapse there.
Unfortunate. The Trinkhaus girls are juniors, so at least they'll have an attempt to run this all back next year. Hopefully they can get the redemption story thereafter.
Yeah, that's awesome to have those two back.
So Class B, man, Class B. This one goes sort of to script until the very end, where the North Country girls teams, I think, had something to say about the quality of play up in the Frontier League. And General Brown upsets Marcellus, who I had winning it all on my brackets. And General Brown ruins everything in the semifinals for me, taking down Marcellus. And then sort of getting blown out by Bishop Grimes there, and then storming back and making it seem like it was a competitive game in the end. Bishop Grimes, what an emotional season for the Cobras. Just out of the complete blue, the diocese announces that this is going to be the end of Bishop Grimes at the end of the season, and that they're looking to consolidate. And all rumors say that Grimes will be merging with Ludden. Well, who knows? Turns out the church is not super transparent with the things that they do. So we'll see how all of that plays out. But a really emotional run for the Cobras to potentially be the last team to ever play for Bishop Grimes. They get the title. They run out to a 30-18 halftime lead, a big second quarter where they go on a 20-8 run. Then it's a little bit more even. General Brown storms back with an 18-9 fourth quarter, but the deficit was too much, and Grimes gets the win for them.
Yeah, I think I read about it on Syracuse.com, and I think it is going to happen where they're going to merge with Bishop Ludden.
Yeah, that is the plan. We'll see.
And they plan on being called Bishop Ludden/Grimes. So if that does happen, that's going to be very interesting to see what they do, especially what the athletic committees say for all the sports, because you got two Catholic schools that are merging. Are they going to be AA? Are they going to be, by default, move up to AAA? Who knows? Because both of those schools they compete in totally different class sizes for each sport, and I know that there's different classification numbers for each sport, both boys and girls, but it's yikes, that's gonna be a complicated situation there.
Yeah, and I don't know what it means. There's so much more besides sports going on there too. You know, while merging can produce a lot of opportunities for kids because you're bringing more staff and more students together, so maybe there's more common interests going on. you're also, there is a loss of identity there, so it'll be interesting to see even what their enrollment numbers are when this happens. Granted, they're both in a similar location, like they're both in the Syracuse area.
Right.
So you might see most of their student body staying and going through the merge, but they might pull out, and you might see some of these kids going back into the public school that's in their area. It'll be an interesting dynamic to see, to say the least.
Yep. So, congrats to them and their seasons. Their season, unfortunately, it was ended yesterday. They went to the Section 2 host and champ, which was Reesville. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. They lost that one 53-45. So unfortunately, like I said, their season had come to an end. Kind of the same situation as Yuka Notre Dame. It was a close game all the way through, and then Breesville scored 25 points in the fourth quarter. So, but like you said, good season for them. Kind of memorable and very symbolic of the fact that they went out winning in their last season. So, kudos to them and congrats to them.
Yeah. All right, that takes us to Class C. This one pretty much went to script until the championship round. I had Class C as being the top 4 teams of that program, and that is what we saw in the semifinals, with Cooperstown taking on West Canada Valley and Hamilton taking on Weedsport. I was able to set up a live stream and get sponsorships to support that broadcast. Get the license from Section 3 to do that broadcast. It was an awesome time. The Cooperstown West Canada Valley game was phenomenal. It's, we're talking about, seniors not wanting their seasons to end, using that experience to put the team on their back. That is what we saw with West Canada Valley. Anna Grabowski just did not want that season to end, and she popped off to finish that game, just getting steals and making tough buckets. And they had a chance at the end to get that game, and they just, one really unfortunate turnover ended up kind of sealing their fate. And clutch free throws from Cooperstown's 7th and 8th graders. Yeah, 7th and 8th graders making incredibly clutch free throws down the stretch, with Emma Johnson and Lainey Nealon hitting some much-needed free throws to close that game out. But an incredible career and an incredible game from Anna Grabowski there to try to pull that one out of the fire. It was rough. It was odd. I had not seen West Canada Valley play. They just really struggled with the press of Cooperstown, and there was a lot of unnecessary turnovers. And there's some inexperience on the wings there for West Canada Valley, where they had to replace, and it showed, unfortunately for them. So they fell just a little bit short. And as much as we sort of focus on Emma Johnson and Lainey Nealon as the young guns of Cooperstown, Brenna Seaman really stepped up this tournament as the senior on the team and kind of took the reins in control of the Hawkeyes down the stretch. And that carried over to the championship game. We had the top-seeded Hamilton Emerald Knights versus the Hawkeyes. Hamilton didn't really have too much trouble with Weedsport in the semifinals, although I will say Hamilton didn't look good. The game remained somewhat close, but just Weedsport could not finish. I mean, Keegan McNabb is a great player, should be making shots inside. She just couldn't they literally could not get the ball to go in the basket for long stretches of time. She had a bunch of great post moves inside, great looks, and they just would roll off the side. And Cameron Cleveland comes in and lifts Hamilton in that game. They struggled a little bit early, and she made a few big baskets, and her size made a difference inside for them. And it gave them the momentum to kind of get things chugging along there at the end, where Weedsport just, could not make a shot. It sucks to have one of those games in such a big moment, because every once in a while there's just days where you just don't make them, and that was it for Weedsport. If Weedsport was making their shots, they definitely could have beat Hamilton that day. And that funk sort of stuck with Hamilton. And this game, I was excited to see Cooperstown play Hamilton. Hamilton had beaten them both times during the regular season, although Cooperstown had closed that gap. I knew it was going to be a competitive game, and Cooperstown came out super motivated, and it looked like it just kind of put Hamilton back on their heels a little bit, and that funk just could not leave Hamilton. To me, I do wonder too, when you play, you make such a living from the three-point line as Hamilton does. When you play at these college arenas, the high school line that they put on the floor is always very light, and sometimes I think the kids get stuck looking at the dark line, and then they end up a foot behind that, so they end up taking a really long-range three that is not their usual shot.
Yeah.
That sort of affects them. And I think that happened.
Plus, the college court is a little bit bigger, right? Like
yeah.
A couple feet wide,
yes.
more, and several feet longer,
yes.
right?
So those teams that press, those teams that run a lot, they can get tired out a little faster. There's a little bit more space to work in, which in the past may have helped Hamilton, but today, during that game, it didn't. They couldn't get things going. The size of Cooperstown inside, I thought, really played a factor. Brenna Seaman, Polly Kennedy, Katie Crippen, I thought really did a good job limiting Hamilton's inside presence. Cameron Cleveland couldn't get things to go. They put her in to try to get that jump start, and she couldn't finish. And Brenna Seaman puts up 12 points in the first half, finishes with 14. She fouls out in the game. And after she kind of gave them that belief and lead, Emma Johnson and Lainey Nealon do their part to secure that win. But a super low-scoring game. Emma Johnson goes 2 for 3 from three-point land, but I don't know if this is accurate. 2 for 34 field goals.
That can't be right.
That can't be right. That's got to be it. But I mean, it was that sloppy of a game, to be fair. But there's no way she took 34 shots. There were not that many possessions in the game. But 4 for 4 from the free throw line. She finishes with 14 points. Lainey Nealon finishes with 9. But it was really Seaman's presence early that locked in that game, and Hamilton just struggled. Chloe LaFrance hits 2 corner threes that kind of keep them in it. Logan Langle kept trying to get these runners to go, and they wouldn't. A few offensive foul calls go against them. She finishes with 12. Reed Dye finishes with 10. And that's really it. They couldn't get that game plan to execute. Their shooting was just off, and Cooperstown was just all over them. And part of that, I'll give credit to the girl who scored 1 point for Cooperstown, being their sort of X factor. Mia Kaltenbach was just in Logan Langle's face all 32 minutes of that game. Relentless defense, would not let her get any free looks ever. And just challenged her all game long. And I think that was really the difference that allowed Cooperstown to keep Hamilton on their heels and off balance.
Yeah, that's also, first of all, that's a great last name. Couple points here that stood out to me is Emma Johnson in the semifinal game goes 5 for 5 from the free throw line, and then in the finals goes 4 for 4.
And most of those 4 were clutch. They were at the end of the game when teams were fouling to try to extend the game.
Right. Like, that's just unbelievable poise by a 7th grader.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even imagine doing that. But also at the same time, kudos to you for streaming this. I know you had a little technical difficulty in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was awesome to watch. It was a great setup. I know it got some pretty good activity on the YouTube channel, but either way, that was awesome for you, and quite the experience. I was very jealous that you were doing that.
It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. That West Canada Valley and Cooperstown game was so exciting down to the finish.
Yeah, I was glued watching that, and your commentary just made it even better. It was hilarious. At one point in time, it was like back and forth. You were like talking about it, and you kind of stumbled, and you're like, "Words, I can speak."
Yeah.
But kudos to the all 4 of those teams: Hamilton, Weedsport, Cooperstown, and West Canada Valley. Great seasons, and Cooperstown winning it all. both boys and girls. So Cooperstown right now, it's got to be living high right now in that school. Cooperstown actually went on to play in the regional championship, and they beat the winners of Section 4, which was Delaware Academy, and they won 55-48. Cooperstown put the nail in the coffin here, scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter. There are no stats posted for this one, so that's awesome. They were actually losing at halftime, according to this box score, 26-23. So quite the comeback. Looks like it was a back and forth here, just based upon the box score. They are going to be playing in the semifinals for the state championship on the 20th at 6 p.m. at Hudson Valley Community College. They are going to be playing the Section 2 winner, which is Stillwater. And then if they go on to win that one, they are going to play the winner of the Section 6 champion, which is Frewsburg, and the Section 1 champ, which is Tuckahoe. So good luck to them. Hopefully they can make a little run here and get to the finals, and who knows, maybe even win it.
Yeah, we love to see state champs run in Section 3, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else for Class C?
I'm good. You were the man during this bracket, so you did a hell of a job. The girls played their hearts out. This was as exciting as we were hoping.
It sure was. Yeah, we'll see what I think. This Hamilton-Cooperstown rivalry is going to be deep for the next few years. That is for sure.
Oh yeah.
And this just adds some more fuel to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to Class D. This one of the smallest tournaments that we had going on. There were only 7 teams in the tournament. I picked Stockbridge Valley to make a run to the finals. We did not.
Slightly biased.
Incredibly biased. I will say this: Abigail Bombard from Watertown IHC, one of the best point guards I've ever seen play the game. Shooting percentage, she gets a lot of points because she takes a lot of their shots. It's not necessarily super high shooting percentages there, but her ball control is some of the best ball handling I've ever seen. I mean, she was slinging full court bounce passes, one bounce on a dime, while being double teamed against us. And there was no. Once they got a lead, there was no hope of trying to pressure and force a turnover to get it back. It was pretty disheartening. That's how good she is as a player.
It's one of those players / plays where she makes that type of pass, and you're like,
"Yep,
I got nothing for you. I'm sorry."
Their defense was too much for us to handle at that time. And a great season, but man, they ran into a buzzsaw in the semifinals with Sackett's Harbor, who's firing on all cylinders. I mean, if you take a look at the Sackett's Harbor score lines as they complete this season, the return of Peyton Britton, obviously a huge factor for them, and she really found her legs, and the team started to mesh around her late, and that's really what comes up in that semifinal match as Sackett's Harbor takes down IHC. Our favorites here throughout everything, much like Utica Notre Dame was, Lafargeville was our sort of just, we could crown them before the game ever happened. And they do end up making that run, a convincing win over Copenhagen in the semifinals. But man, this game, Sackett's Harbor will not go down without a fight. As they take on Lafargeville in the championship, it is just absolutely brutal back and forth. It was one of the sloppiest games, and it was sloppy, kind of like Nottingham played. It was sloppy for the reasons that they wanted it to be sloppy. It was, I don't say that as like a degradation of like it's bad basketball. It's super intense, really tough defense, and just refusing to go away. And that leads to just a bunch of turnovers. I mean, we had hit like 30 turnovers in the first half, both teams combined. And the ball is just flying all over the place because of the pressure that both of these teams were putting on each other. And Lafargeville only holds a 1-point lead at the end of the first quarter, 18-17. And then in the second quarter, they finally pull away. The turnovers start to go more Lafargeville's way. They get a few more open looks, and Margie Barton really takes control of this game early. She finishes with 16 points, hitting 3 3-pointers. And it was because of her that they have this lead early in the game. Emmeline Barton, not a huge factor early, but puts the team on her shoulders late and carries them to the victory. Ton of free throws. She goes 11 for 14 from the line, just attacking the basket and getting a lot of free throws that way. She doesn't even hit a 3-pointer in the game, but really just turnovers and attacking the basket. She finishes with 21 points as Eliza Smith rounds out Lafargeville's double-digit scoring with 10. And it was just a mess back and forth. Just a lot of... I thought Emmeline Barton got charged with a tech early in this game too, which everyone at the table kind of thought was pretty lame. I disagreed with that call pretty. She hits the shot. I mean, we are talking super intense pressure. And she hits the shot. She gets fouled. And she puts it up, hits the floor. It goes in. And she slaps the floor and is like, yeah, let's go. And they teed her up.
Come on.
I don't know if they thought she was complaining about there not being a call, which, like, the body language could have been. I don't know what it was. It was a mystery tech, to be honest. But she's able to sort of rebound off of that mentally and then carry on through the game. Peyton Britton, like I said, a huge factor for Sackets Harbor, puts up 17 points for them in this game. Lily Green had a great game attacking inside. She has 13 points for the Patriots. And Paige Britton had a really impactful game, especially in their defeat of Watertown IHC. There's a point where she hits, it's all tied up, and she hits this monster 3-pointer. Abby Bombard comes racing down the floor, tries to hit the basket, and she just swats it against the back wall. She had a great game for them in the semifinals, but was super limited in this one. She had 8 rebounds for the Patriots, but she couldn't get anything going offensively, and Lafargeville's defense was the difference there as they win this one 54-35.
Yeah, we were talking very highly about them and predicting that they would go on a little bit of a run here in the state tournament, and so far they're off to a good start. They played yesterday at TC3. And they beat the Section 4 winner, which is South Courtright / Andes, the Rams, and they won that one 56-47. They were actually losing at halftime, only by 1 point, but still.
Yeah, they had to rally a bit at the end.
Yeah, they ended up. It went 17-10, 18-15 in the third and fourth quarter. Another extremely impressive game for Barton here. She had 33 total points, 6 rebounds, 8 steals, and she went 8 of 10 from the free throw line. Margie Barton went 4 for 4 from the free throw line, so there's a huge 4 points right there. And then you also have Ella Porter going with 9 points with 3 threes there. So,
yeah. And Porter, that's huge for them because Porter didn't score a basket in their sectional final game. 0 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, I think Lafargeville is interesting because while teams might be hoping that, this is Emmeline's senior year and that maybe they can get at him next year, I think they still have a cohort that's developing underneath that's going to be pretty dangerous still.
Wow. That's awesome to see, too, especially from a Class D team and more specifically a girls' sport, too, just because numbers are going down across New York State for sports in general, but especially for girls sports and girls basketball in particular. So they are playing in the state semifinals, also at Hudson Valley Community College. They are playing on the 20th at 2:30 p.m. against the Section 10 winners of Chateauguay. They are going to, if they win that one, they're going to play the winner of the Section 5 winner, Elba, and Section 2 winner, Northville, for the championship, which is the next day, the 21st at 6 p.m., also at Hudson Valley Community College. Do you remember off the top of your head how far they went last year?
They lost in the regionals last year.
Okay.
This is their first.
All right.
Yeah, this is their first regional title in school history. This is their first state semi-final appearance. They're looking to make history for Lafargeville girls basketball.
That's awesome. I had no idea about that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's really cool to also say that you were part of something for your school. So like, no matter what, you can always look back on it, and you always have that moving forward.
Yeah. To leave a legacy is always the dream.
Yeah. I can, not to pump my own tires here, but when I was a senior at my high school, we won our sectional championship for counties, and we won the Long Island championship game as well, which is the sub-regional game. It's actually the first technical state tournament game. We call it getting off the island. So we won that one, and the banner's still hanging up there outside of our school and also inside the gym. So kind of cool, just to
Absolutely.
Reflect back on.
That's the best part of the banners, is being able to come back years later and point up and be like, yeah, I was a part of that. So
Right.
To all those schools that are taking their banners down and consolidating them into one banner, which maybe our school is doing, and I'll still say that I greatly oppose. That's why I oppose it.
Yep. Also, as a coach too, it's cool to kind of reflect back on looking at those banners or years as well. So I got nothing else for the brackets. Anything for you?
No, that's it.
All right. Good luck to Liverpool in the state semifinals, Cooperstown girls in the semifinals, Lafargeville girls in the semifinals, and also good luck today to Cooperstown boys and Sackett's Harbor boys playing today in Binghamton. Those are going to be some good matchups. To round this episode out, I do have a breakdown for you. Would you like to participate?
Sure.
Do you have one for me?
I don't, but I can make one up.
All right. Well, if you can make one up, we will do it. I have one ready for you. So
Okay.
Let's get right to it. This is the breakdown. You, Jay, are going to do a blind ranking.
Okay.
Okay? And the category for your blind ranking today is wing sauces.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Yep.
Your first sauce, you have, let's say, I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types.
Okay.
Okay? Ranking them 1 to 5. First one I'm going to give you is barbecue.
Barbecue, I think it's funny because as a kid, I really did not like barbecue sauce. It was not my thing.
That's weird.
Now that I'm older, I love it. Like pulled pork and just straight up barbecue stuff is amazing, and I need it slathered in this sauce. I went to UConn to see their men's basketball team play this year, and there's a joint like on campus that makes this barbecue chicken onion ring pizza, which sounds kind of vile, to be honest. And it looks really gross. And it was amazing, and it tasted great. And I found out that I just really like barbecue sauce. I'm gonna go 2.
Wow. Okay. I did not think I was going to go 2. Let's see if you regret that.
I will not. I have a
one.
pretty solid ranking in my head. You can give me whatever you want. This is fine.
Okay. Okay. The second sauce I'm going to give you is garlic parm.
Garlic parm is 4. I think it's overrated. I think people really like the garlic parm. It's garlicky, and that affects the breath for a considerable amount of time.
Oh God, yeah.
And it tastes good at the moment, and then I find it meh. I'm going 4.
Okay. Your next one is Thai, or like any sort of Asian type.
Okay, so here's
sauce.
the thing. I do enjoy like a General Tso sauce is like my favorite freaking thing ever.
That's my go-to.
Right.
That's all I order.
On like chicken wings, that's not what I'm after. Like that needs to be like my nugget bite. I'm gonna go Thai sauce as 5.
Okay. And your that was the third one. Your fourth one. Traditional buffalo sauce.
That's number one. My family is from the Buffalo area, and Duff's is one of the best wing joints you could ever go to. The Anchor Bar is the established one that originated the buffalo wing, but Duff's was always our go-to, and it's just something about the crispy. Wings in this area don't get it right because they don't make the wings crispy enough and then drench that thing in the sauce. Like, it needs to be bathing in the sauce, not oil.
No,
I don't need the fryer oil in there with some sauce draped over the top. That's how you know it's not the greatest. It needs to be just bathing in the sauce. It's not good unless sweat is pouring off my face and snot is coming out of my nose in an uncontrollable manner. Hot sauce, Buffalo traditional, number one. Also, blue cheese, no ranch. Get out of here with that crap. Give me some celery on the side. Make my life good.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be blue cheese. Which, going back to what you said about barbecue, I used to hate blue cheese growing up. Love it now. Love it.
I only eat blue cheese with buffalo sauce. Like, that's the only combination that I can roll with it. And it's just to counteract the heat. The celery and the blue cheese is just oh my God, there's so much fluid pouring out of my face at this moment that I need a break.
So if you're given the option of hot, medium, mild, what are you going with?
It depends what I'm after that day. Mild's never an option. We're never touching mild. It's worthless. There's no point. If you're eating mild, just don't order chicken wings. So if I'm like, the place is okay, we'll go medium. If you're gonna go to Duff's, it's medium because you'll die if you get hot. Like, it's significantly hotter. I can do the hot, but it's less than enjoyable experience. It's almost so most occasions I go hot around here. So I'll say hot.
Have you ever done Buffalo Wild Wings Blazing Wing Challenge?
No, I have not. I have done we did get a case of the Hot Ones challenge.
Oh yeah.
So we've done all of those. I was a little underwhelmed, to be honest. Some of them just taste bad. They are hot. But yeah, I want like buffalo flavor.
Some of like the normal medium sauces are like
those
really
first 5 actually, you're like, ooh, this tastes really good.
Yeah, I think I tried like one of their, I think it was like a pineapple one. It was really good. I was skeptical of it, but it was very good. All right, your 5th and final sauce, which I think you only have number 3 available, right?
Yes.
That I have as garbage sauce. So just a whole combination.
All of them. You know what? I'm happy with that. I think
you nailed it.
I think I just destroyed this ranking.
For me personally, I would have flip-flopped barbecue and garbage sauce.
Okay. Yeah. Garbage sauce is interesting to me because I know it's good and I know it tastes good, but it looks so gross that it makes me question whether I want to eat it or not. And if there is a sauce that I like, then I might as well just get that one that I like versus getting the questionable. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Always enjoy a good wing. I enjoyed the Super Bowl commercial where there was like 3 of them, and I think they were at the Anchor Bar, and they were all eating their wings, and they're like, "Bill, what would you name a team in Buffalo?" And he's like, "The Bills." It was a good commercial.
That's awesome. All right, here's your blind ranking. I know you are a big wrestling fan, so we're going to blind rank these iconic wrestlers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Number 1, John Cena.
All right, so I actually just heard he's like doing a return. He's retiring, I guess, at the end of this year, finally. I never got on the John Cena hype train. I never really, not that I never enjoyed it when I was watching wrestling growing up and kind of on and off in college because my roommate and I were kind of into it, just to waste time. I'm going to put him at 5.
Okay. Wow, bold choice. All right, number 2.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, that's easy number 2. Number 2, clearly. Once you hear that glass break, you're like, oh boy, it's John 3:16 time. And you're about to see some, double birds on each post and Coors Light at the end. That's number 2.
All right, 1 ranking for each Coors Light. He gets a 2. All right. The Undertaker.
Damn it. I mean, this is right. Stone Cold Undertaker, this is right down my alleyway of childhood. Unbelievable character. Went through 2 different phases of, being the dark entity Undertaker and then, the badass Undertaker riding the motorcycle in and all that stuff. And just iconic, too, the matches that they had where they had to put him in the coffin and just the signature move of he's, starfish on the mat and then just rises and comes up. Just classic Undertaker. I feel bad putting him at 3 because I feel like it doesn't do it justice. If I could do Stone Cold at 2A and then Undertaker at 2B, I would. But we can't for this exercise, so Stone Cold is going to be my number 2. Undertaker is my highly valued number 3.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go that way. The Big Show.
Ooh, I was not expecting you to say The Big Show. I was thinking you were going to go a different way. Going to go 4. I'm pretty confident with that one. Icon, big part of WWE and the WWF. Yeah, go 4. Solid.
You may have nailed this one. My last one for you. Hulk Hogan.
See, I thought you were going to go Hulk Hogan just previous, and then you're going to end with The Rock.
See,
the fact that you left The Rock out is very controversial in my own opinion.
See, what I wanted to do was really put you in a debacle of classics and throw the last 2 at you of Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan.
That's okay.
So I think you nailed it. Hulk Hogan has to go 1. You happy with that? Yeah,
I am. You gotta eat your vitamins and say your prayers because the Hulk maniacs are coming, man. But if you put The Rock in there, that would have been my number 1. I would not even, if you said The Rock first, I would instantaneous number 1. He was my childhood growing up, just always watching him and just the phases he went through.
How high can you get your eyebrow? Yeah,
I think that's about it.
We're not even close.
No. I think hands down the best to ever have a microphone. But I think we did pretty good there in the blind rankings.
Yeah, I think we did. I think we both nailed it.
I think we got a little heat for the first one when we did the chocolate bars.
Yeah.
And then I forgot what you gave me, but I think we did pretty good there.
Alrighty. You good? Anything else?
I'm good. I'm ready to go here. Luckily it's not raining as much today as we're finishing this up at roughly 1 p.m. Sunday. Spring sports start tomorrow. Good luck to everyone in their spring seasons, both baseball and softball, and also lacrosse for the bigger schools as well. It looks like spring's here. There isn't any snow coming, Jay. Don't ever say that again.
And just wait till April.
We're getting ready here. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
I can't wait for that first snowfall in April to completely ruin our opening week of games. But yeah, we're excited for the spring. Congratulations to all of our winter champions. All-star teams should be coming out soon. It seems like most of you guys agree that the point leader should be the MVP and not the person on the best team, which I think is an interesting take, but I will listen to the people when we publish. Thanks for listening. This is the CNY Sports Authority, Small Schools, Big Coverage, CNY Sports.
The whole world was a playground until the sun went down.